Welcome back to ERU, the show where we round up the biggest talking points from across European football from the weekend just past. Doogie Critchley is off this week, so I'm joined by a very special guest in Christopher Hamill, who I think is making his return to Euro Football Daily after what seems like an age. First of all, welcome back, and how are you doing?
Thank you very much, mate. This is very emotional, very reminiscent of 2017. And I've got to say, I've never been less qualified to talk about European football during my 5 years on Football Daily. Spend most of my time watching the Scottish League or Brighton. So good luck dealing with me as a co-host today, all right?
Well, don't worry. As long as you don't start cheerleading for Graham Potter halfway through, I think it will be acceptable.
No promises.
But what a weekend to come back in on the European scene, Hamill, because obviously we had a Clasico on Saturday, and that is our big story from the weekend. This comes from @Thomas_Elliott. And yeah, a great night of football in Madrid.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was quite shocking to see them back at the summit of La Liga, wasn't it? Even if it was only temporary. They now sit second, of course, just 1 point off Atletico Madrid, who got a point against Betis that was enough to put them back in pride of place. But talking of pride, this is the first time since 2007-8 where Real Madrid have done the double over Barcelona in the league. So leaving the Blaugrana in their wake, who have now failed to beat them in their last 4 league meetings. And with Atleti winning just one of their previous 5 games prior to this weekend, this tie was, and rightly so, seen as a huge opportunity to regain some ground or, retake the initiative. And it didn't disappoint. Truly seminal for Real Madrid. If they can clinch the league title, they'll look back at this game, won't they, and say, this is where it all came together. I mean, Barcelona dominated proceedings. They had 69% possession, dominated from a possession point of view, let's say, but were undone in the first half by a slick counter-attacking move from Real Madrid, and I think that was probably indicative of the whole game. Like, Real Madrid had a lot of the ball, but Real Madrid were far more incisive, weren't they? And Zidane's men, despite only having 31% over the course of the tie, started really, really well. They took 8 shots to Barcelona's 6 in the first 45, carved out higher quality opportunities too, reflected in the XG. I think it was 0.84 to 0.2 in their favour. So they were, good for their 2-0 lead. And it was Benzema's 10th goal in as many games, I think. That lovely, lovely flick from the Vasquez cross on the right-hand side. And the Frenchman has now hit 19 in total, so he's set to breach the 20-goal mark for the 3rd season in a row. And it's one of football pundits' favourite tropes, isn't it, to say that Benzema is the most underrated player in Europe. But I don't think he is underrated if you watch Spanish football properly, because he's a supremely talented player. He's been carrying Real Madrid for some time now, particularly since Ronaldo's departure, of course. And yeah, he's their big game player. You come to expect these level of performances from him. So, yeah, it wasn't shocking to me to see him score a goal of that calibre. And another player I want to shout out from a Real Madrid perspective, I suppose, is Fede Valverde as well, because he was instrumental in the reverse tie, wasn't he? And he actually pulled Jordi Alba out of position for Vasquez to deliver that cross from the right for Benzema to get on the end of. So that was just one thing I kind of noticed in the 18 to 20 minutes that I watched this morning. And I've got to say, Jordi Alba, not his best game. I mean, he did redeem himself with that assist for Oscar Minguez's his emphatic shinned finish. I don't know what he did there. He looked like George Wright down at Power League. But it was fairly shocking. But at least it set up a grandstand finish, didn't it? It was a tempestuous finish as well. The rain was lashing down. Mariba, of course, hit the crossbar. What a player he's going to be, by the way. But ultimately, I think Real Madrid deserved the victory and have been... I don't know. It keeps swapping, doesn't it? One week, I think Barcelona are the best side in Spain. I mean, 6 months ago, I thought it was Sevilla. But one week it's Barcelona, the next it's Real Madrid. But Zidane comes in clutch during these big games. And, Ronald Koeman tweeting after the game that he was unhappy with VAR, that they were the better side. Small-time behaviour, in my opinion. But you're the real Catalan here, Michael. I'm just an imposter. So what did you make of this El Clasico?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's clearly a defeat that hurt Koeman. I think, considering that they went into this game in such great form, didn't they? It brought an end to that 19-game unbeaten run, which stretched back to the 5th of December. They dropped just 6 points on that run as well. So they were pretty impenetrable and scoring goals for fun too. Real had been pretty good during that run as well, though. They lost just once in their previous 19 coming up to this. That's despite club captain Sergio Ramos missing 13 of those games. Looking back to the start of the season when they looked pretty hapless without him, they've really adapted very well. And I thought Eder Militao and Nacho were fantastic on the night, much like they were against Liverpool midweek. And I think that was the difference, wasn't it? I think the defences were ultimately the difference. They limited Barca to just 1.16 XG, despite ceding so much possession, as you were saying. A number of standout performances. Casemiro, who was back in his more familiar defensive role, was superb. 9 tackles and interceptions, 2 aerial duels won. Although getting himself sent off with 2 yellows in the space of a minute late on was pretty silly. So hopefully... Zidane will be able to deputise for him in the next game. Fede Valverde, like you said, was also instrumental, wasn't he? Started on the right. Obviously, he hasn't been an automatic starter in the last few months, but he started on the right, and his energy was just essential, wasn't it, in the transition, as exemplified by his work in the build-up to Benzema's opener. Obviously scored back at the Camp Nou in that 3-1 win in October, and nearly scored again here. Almost finished off another superb counter-attack. Saw his effort come off the post on 33 minutes. That would have made it 3-0 and probably would have put the game to bed there and then. But the scorer of the second goal, Toni Kroos, was arguably man of the match. Another superb display from him. 3 shots, 2 tackles, 1 key pass, of course, got the winner as well. Despite dominating the ball, Barca were just let down by their defence. Frenkie de Jong was moved out of the back 3 and into the midfield for this game. And his absence, I thought, was really felt in the defensive third. Mingueza and Araujo were left exposed multiple times by Alba and Dest, who were pushing forward a lot and weren't able to recover when Real broke. And I think it was a similar story with Frenkie de Jong when he's in that midfield. Obviously, his link-up play is excellent around the edge of the box. And so, there were a number of times where he was breaking into the box at the end of an attacking move. And then by the time Real broke, he wouldn't have time to get back. So I think in that sense, Koeman did make a mistake. They did improve in the second half after he replaced Dest with Griezmann and switched to a 4-3-3. I think that will be something that Koeman thinks about in the coming weeks. Obviously, Frenkie de Jong has been so good in the middle of that back 3. A real great organiser, obviously a very intelligent player. And obviously essential in ball progression too. So he may think about moving him back there in the run-in, of course, in that Copa del Rey final that's coming up on the weekend too. As you'd expect, almost all the inspiration in the final third came from Messi. He took 7 shots, 99 touches, which is more than anyone bar Alba and Longley. Created 2 chances and completed 7 dribbles. A little bit wasteful with his free kicks, I thought. Obviously, the rain was lashing down. He even had to change his shirt halfway through the second half as a result. Had 2 especially free kicks in decent positions and didn't really trouble Thibaut Courtois with either of them. The big question is, does this result make Real title favourites? Because they're now, the top 3 are now separated by just 2 points. Barca hosts Atleti on the 9th of May, which will be another pivotal game, of course. And they also have away trips to Villarreal and Valencia. Real, meanwhile, have played both of their title rivals now. Their toughest remaining fixtures are against Sevilla and Villarreal, but they're both at home. Hamel, do you think Zidane is now in the driving seat to take this title?
I mean, my opinion should carry very little weight, McCubbin, because like I admitted at the start of the show, I've not been heavily invested in Spanish football. And when I do dip my toe back in, it's to check on Huesca. It's to check on Mendilibar or Eibar to see how my boys in the lower reaches of the league are doing. I'm bored. I'm bored of the same teams being at the top. But yeah, I think the impetus is with Real Madrid, right? And they've found ways to cover for big players. They've obviously had a bit of not a bloated squad, but they've got a good cover, haven't they, for key positions. They've dealt with the loss of Sergio Ramos, dealt with the loss of Dani Carvajal. Of course, Vinicius is coming into decent form. And they'll take a lot of confidence from that win over Liverpool in the Champions League. What about you, though, mate? I still want Atletico to win the title, but I think, Real Madrid's resilience is going to persevere.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I think just the psychological boost from that win at Liverpool, obviously that psychological boost from this win as well, I think serves them in really good stead. Like you said, they've come through quite a tough injury crisis, which they're still kind of in the midst of. But unlike Barca, who've been really, really hot the last few months and will have been a bit deflated, I think, from that loss. And I think that Copa del Rey final that's coming up, I think, is really essential for them going into the run-in. I think Real are, starting to hit their best form at just the right time. I think Atleti, obviously, that game against Barca and May is going to be essential, and I think that gives Real a big opportunity to leapfrog them. I do kind of think it's Atleti who are probably the third favourites now, even though they're top, just because their performances have been so lacklustre in the last 2 months. I do think it's between Barca and Real now. And I think, Real, if they can now push on and get even better in the next month, I think it's definitely theirs to lose. I think Barcelona will still be with the shout. I think they'll still be there in the final 2-3 game weeks. I think Real have the most kind of, have the best base to build on in that sense. Whereas I think Barca have perhaps peaked already. I think, Los Blancos could get even better. So that's our thoughts on the La Liga title race. Who are your favourites? Let us know in the comments below, and let's move on to our result of the week.
Up next then we have, I'm reliably informed, result of the week. Things have changed dramatically since we used to do 3 winners and 3 losers. Do you remember how long that used to take to script at the weekend? Ridiculous. Not very efficient at all from us, but we've moved on since then. And the result of the week comes from at Lewy 9900. Maybe it's Levy. Maybe he's a Lewandowski fan, because it is Bayern Munich versus Union Berlin. And it was 1-1, wasn't it, McCubs?
Yeah, there are a few big results in the Bully this weekend. Frankfurt defeated Wolfsburg in a 4-3 thriller to further cement their place in the top 4. Schalke got their second win of the season again against Augsburg. And Jude Bellingham, man of the moment, scored his first Bundesliga goal as Dortmund overcame Stuttgart 3-2 to keep themselves in that race for the top 4. But the most significant result was Bayern Munich's 1-1 draw with Union Berlin, wasn't it? It let RB Leipzig back into the title race following their win over them last weekend. The Bavarians' previous meeting with Union also ended 1-1, so they've already become a bit of a bogey team for them. And they came into this game heavily depleted. Goretzka, Hernandez and Sula all sustained injuries midweek, didn't they? And with a huge trip to PSG tomorrow night, Flick also left Sane, Alaba and Pavard on the bench, with 20-year-old attacking midfielder Thiago Dantas and 21-year-old defender Josep Stanisic making their first ever Bully starts. And they were poor. They were really poor. For the second week in a row, they failed to breach the 1xG mark, generating 0.91 to Union's 0.81. And of their 14 shots, only 2 hit the target, with Coman and Choupo-Moting managing just 1 effort between them before being subbed in the second half. And the defence is once again under the spotlight. Pavard and Alaba, who came on, were caught out by a quick throw for Marcus Ingvartsen's 85th minute equaliser. But Hamill, this was another great result for Union, who are defying critics once again this season. Yeah,
they've only lost 1 of their last 8 fixtures and are set to finish in the top half of the Bundesliga table in only their second league campaign in the top flight in their history. So overperforming is an understatement. And their success this term, like all good Roy Hodgson sides. I was going to compare them to the Crystal, I was going to call them the Crystal Palace of the Bundesliga, but I have no grounds to really do that. I'm going to run with it anyway. Yeah, their success this season has been built on the back of a very solid defence, hasn't it? Only Leipzig, Leverkusen and Wolfsburg have conceded fewer than their 34 league goals. And they rank second to Leipzig on expected goals against. So the underlying numbers suggest this is no fluke either. They've not just got a goalkeeper who is performing miracles. And they've only lost 6 games all season, which is fewer than Leverkusen, Gladbach and Dortmund as well, I think. So extremely hard to beat, very hard working, and this tirelessness very much embodied by left-back Christopher Lenz, particularly in this game. And he made 8 tackles and interceptions, won 2 aerial duels, completed 3 dribbles, created a chance. So not giving up on either end. Fair play to Christopher Lenz. Maybe we should put him underneath the Lenz McCubs. Maybe he deserves a move to a bigger club. I don't know, because I don't know really who Christopher Lenz is. But yeah, as for Bayern, their shining light in this game was Musiala, who got his goal, didn't he? 4 shots and 6 dribbles in this game, both game highs, and he created a chance and scored an excellent goal as well. I think it was his second touch with his left foot that just takes it away from the defender, and it's in a really hectic zone, isn't it? And he's got such a small window of opportunity to get it right, and to be 18 and scoring those sort of goals, truly impressive. It was his first strike since turning 18, in fact, at the end of February. And he's got a total of 4 in 582 league minutes, this term. So made his mark for sure. Up next for Bayern is, of course, PSG in the Champions League. And then they face a tough trip to Wolfsburg in the Bully. So things getting hairy. They're not, are they? They're nailed on to win their 9th Bundesliga title. And this is just another slip up. And maybe Hansi Flick will go to manage the Mannschaft after. So who knows? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below.
We're sticking in Germany for our star of the week. This comes from @Tim2002, and it is Alexander Sørloth, Hamel.
Is that how you pronounce it? Sørloth? And I've been calling him Sørloth this whole time.
I think it's actually Sørloth, thinking about it now, because he's got that the thing in the O, a bit like Ødegaard, that kind of Norwegian kind of umlaut kind of accent. So yeah, Sørloth, in fact.
Sørloth. I'm such an uncultured swine. Anyway, yeah, Sørloth. It scored twice as RB Leipzig defeated Werder Bremen 4-1 away from home on Saturday, with Dani Olmo and Sabitzer getting the other goals. The result actually moves Leipzig to within 5 points of Bayern. They'd slipped 7 points behind last weekend after losing. So this is about as much of a title run-in as we're going to get from here on in. No doubt it will still be tough to catch the Bavarians, and they don't have an easy run-in. Ties against Union, Dortmund, and visits from Stuttgart and Wolfsburg still to follow, but something for the neutral to hold on to. Maybe Bayern won't win that 9th league title we were talking about. And, Leipzig are still in with a shout of winning the DFB Pokal. They're in the semi-final, also against Bremen, and that is at the end of the month. So that'll give them, this title will give them confidence going into that, won't they? And Sørloth was at his clinical best here. 3 shots, 2 goals, and 2 aerial duels won as well. And not only was this his first Bundesliga brace, but it also marked the first time any Leipzig player has scored 2 goals in a league game this season. They've really been struggling to be prolific since Timo Werner's absence, which is ironic given his struggles on English soil. But Sørloth is starting to come to the fore now, and it's been a tough adaptation period. But great to see him doing well, Michael.
Yeah, it's been a strange first year for Sørloth at Leipzig. He actually featured in our Continental Club on Friday as a kind of more of a kind of passing comment that he's had a bit of a disappointing year, but arguably a disappointing signing for 20 million euros from Palace, mainly due to the fact that he's only scored 5 goals even now in 24 appearances. He has been mainly limited to sub appearances. He's only started 11 games in the league. And it took him 14 games to get his first booty goal, which came against Dortmund at the start of January. So by all means, a slow start. But since then, he has become increasingly important to the side. He got an assist and that last-minute winner with, surprise, a header in that 3-2 win against Gladbach in February. What a game that was. And also got a goal and assist against Freiburg in March. He's now running at 0.5 XG per 90, which is the best in the squad. And his total XG of 6.66 is also better than any Leipzig teammate this term, with only Dani Olmo matching his 3.1 shots per 90. He scored twice on the international break as well for Norway. So it does beg the question, could Nagelsmann have been using him a little bit more this season? Could he have done with starting him against Bayern last weekend? Obviously, Bayern's defence hasn't been amazing recently, and I feel like a physical presence like Sørloth could have maybe made a bit more of a difference in the final third in that game. But what do you guys reckon? What do you make of Sørloth's form recently? Can you see Leipzig getting back into this title race once again? Let us know in the comments below. Hamel, That's all we have time for on this week's show. Where should they go next if they enjoyed this?
I'm going to go and learn how to pronounce Scandinavian footballers' names properly. And, if anyone wants to join me, maybe we could run a workshop on my Instagram Live. But no, please go and watch the latest Explained or the latest We Need to Talk over on Football Daily. Make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on. And yeah, let's just keep lobbying for the return of Stat Wars, Michael.
Oh, mate. Soon come, hopefully. And the Football Pyramid as well. I wonder when that will be back. We will have to, let Doogie decide once he's back from his little holiday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like I said, like and subscribe and everything, and we'll see you soon. Bye.